Hey, and welcome to Board with Life News for October 18th, brought to you by Weird Giraffe Games. Today I'm going to talk about Catacomb cubes, Big Dig, Burn, Fog of Love, and the Kickstarter for Dreams of Tomorrow. Let's get to it. Catacomb Cubes is a new game coming from Elzra Corp. This is a game set in the world of Catacombs, but it is not a disc-flicking game like Catacombs, which is a very popular disc-flicking game. In the game, you're going to be drafting wooden polyominoes, and you're trying to build structures that are shown on blueprints that you then add to the city of Stormturn, which I guess is the Catacombs city. I don't know, I'm not that familiar with it. But yeah, so you're basically trying to build the most buildings from blueprints by drafting and stacking polyomino tiles. So this sounds fun. I'm excited to see what their wooden polyomino components look like, because Catacombs had an insane amount of wooden components, so this seems fun. It sounds kind of like the game Blueprints, that I wanted to love, but I didn't like at all, so hopefully this scratches the itch that Blueprints left. It sounded kind of gross. Anyways, next topic. Moving on. Big Dig is coming from Tasty Minstrel Games. This is a flip and write game similar to Avenue or Welcome To, which are two of my favorite games of the past couple years. I really like them. So I've got high hopes for this one. This one's kind of a dig-dug theme where you're digging down through dirt, I guess. I assume it's dirt. I don't know. You're digging down, and you have cards that kind of dictate the moves that you can make. But unlike Avenue and Welcome To, where everyone simultaneously uses the same card or cards, you draft cards, so you get to pick the cards that you're going to use, so you can block opponents from using ones they want, things like that. I don't know if that's better. I'm interested to see it. It certainly slows down play a little bit and can make it a little bit more cutthroat, but maybe that's great. I don't know. Burn is a new game coming from French publisher Goribay. This is an auction game where you're trying to create the most intense sauce, basically. So you're auctioning, you're buying ingredients in auction to make your sauce very spicy or whatever. You also have options to work with the cartel and maybe pick up something that fell off the back of a truck instead of just buying it in the normal auction. So that sounds a little bit interesting. I was really drawn to this really playful artwork. I like it a lot. And the theme is funny for a game this light. It has a whole backstory where apparently it takes place during the Dia de los Muertos, and this is a once-a-year thing with this guy with multi-generations pulls together to get the most I don't know. It seemed like a lot for it, but I thought it was funny. Fog of Love from Hush Hush Games has announced that they are bringing new covers and tweaked gameplay that are more queer-friendly, basically. So you are always able to play queer. You are always able to play Fog of Love in a queer way. But now they have new covers, one of them featuring two men, one of them featuring two women. If you want, they are also obviously keeping the original cover. And they hired Nikki Valens as a consultant. She is a game designer, a queer game designer, to kind of tweak a couple of the little things in the game that didn't necessarily work that well when you played them queer, just to make it more inclusive, more friendly, things like that. They also announced that Valens is working on an expansion that is going to focus on queer relationships, so that's really cool. A queer, non-binary person working on this kind of work in a popular board game is really awesome, and really excited, and I'm really proud of the community that we're kind of getting behind stuff like this, and that we're open to everybody, and that hopefully this will be a new gateway for some people that to experience our hobby. So that's all exciting. This week's Kickstarter is for Dreams of Tomorrow by Weird Giraffe Games. Weird Giraffe actually sent me a copy of this game, so I've actually gotten a chance to play this, which is kind of rare for my Kickstarter stuff. In the game, you are dream engineers, and you're unraveling dreams sent to the past in order to try and save the future, interpret them so you can save the future. This game's built around this clever rondelle mechanic where you're moving around a rondelle to get resources and take actions, but the rondelle is kind of variable, where it's on cards, so they can change positions, they can flip over so that there's different stuff on them. There are things that let you move counterclockwise on the rondelle instead of clockwise and kind of shift how you're moving. So it's one of those mechanics that's clever in a way. I love rondelles. And so it's clever in a way that immediately I was kicking myself for not thinking of it myself, because it's such a simple implementation of a simple way to kind of implement a totally new take on a rondelle that totally changes the way they work. So that was really exciting to play. It's for 1 to 6 players, which is a huge player range, and that's really cool. And Weird Giraffe Games has kind of lately become pretty renowned for their their solo play. They spend a good amount of time, and people really, really like playing their games solo. I'm not big into playing solo games, so I can't really comment much on that on this, but the solo mode looked really cool. So if you're into solo games, that's really cool too for you. It is $22 right now. It's $22 right now on Kickstarter, so you're interested in that, go back that. Alright, that's the news for this week. Last week I did my top 10 games coming out at Essen 2018, so definitely check that out. It's linked in the description below if you are interested in kind of the new games that are coming out or what kind of stuff I'm interested in, or you're going to be at Essen and you want to pick up some games. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. I do weekly board game videos every week, so you can keep up to date with what's happening in the board game world. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, because that's what cool people do. I've been told that. This week's question comes from @CarlyRobinson. They ask, what is your approach to playtesting? More specifically, criticism. How do you encourage it, handle it? So I playtest a ton solo before I ever put it in front of people. So by the time anybody's really looking at it, generally, it's already a pretty well-functioning game, and I've already found what, at least I think, is kind of the fun in it. And so, certainly they're not finished games, but they are functioning games. A lot of people playtest earlier than that. Just take that into account as I answer these questions, knowing that. Taking criticism. I love criticism when I'm playtesting. That's why I'm playtesting it. I want people to break stuff down so it gets better. You have to have thick skin with this stuff, because if you really want your game to be the best it can be, you don't want to be like defending something before you've like thought about it, before you've heard a person out. That being said, there's kind of 3 different types of playtesters that I regularly playtest with, and it very much depends who they are in how I interpret their criticism. So first off, the main thing I'm looking for when I'm playtesting is how people are experiencing the game. What a person tells me afterwards is kind of secondary. Tons and tons of studies have showed people are not great at truthfully saying what they experienced. So if they're having fun, if they seem engaged, if they're like taking time on their turns to kind of figure stuff out, if when somebody does a thing that they don't like, they go like, like invested in the game, that's really what I'm looking for. When it comes to criticism, game designers, I often playtest with game designers. You have to be careful with that, because they usually offer some of the absolute best criticism, and they'll offer you like quick solutions to blind spots you may have had. But game designers, and I super do this as well, are also very prone to kind of trying to make it a game that you're not necessarily trying to make it. So you need to have a target in mind with what you want the game to be, and make sure you stick to that, because they'll be like, this is really cool. What you could do is add a whole other drafting mechanic, and then once the drafting thing happened, then there could be an auction, and it's like they're just making a different game. So know that. There are really good playtesters who playtest and kind of just offer you good feedback. They say, I didn't have fun with this part, I really liked this part. That's super valuable. Those playtesters are really rare. Then you get playtesters who don't like the game, right? Like, it's not the game for them. It's like, oh, this is a light 30-minute Euro, and you only play hardcore, long Ameritrash games, right? And so you're just probably not going to like it, for the same reason you don't like any light Euros, right? The same reason I'm bad at playtesting like a 4-hour-long super heavy game is because I don't play those games and I don't know about those. So kind of knowing who it's coming from is it helps me know how to take the criticism, right? That being said, you have to not only be fine with criticism, you have to want criticism if you want to be a good game designer, right? Like, that's probably not 100% true. There are probably some like brilliant game designers out there that just don't need it. I do. And most game designers I see do need it, and it is helpful. And if you get defensive, even if a lot of times I'll be listening to it and know in my head as I'm listening to it, like, I'm definitely not going to take that into account. Like, I definitely disagree with that, whatever, still take it and like thank them, because they're giving their time. It's a thing that they're doing for free, and it's only whether or not they want to help you or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, they're giving you their time, and if you have them playtesting, you're asking them to do that. So thank them, and then kind of think about it after the fact, and don't just ignore stuff right off the bat and be defensive. Anyways, that was too long of an answer for that question, but it was a good question. Thanks for asking it, and I'll see you next week.